running up the score.
Jerry Napoleonello.
This team has been on the clock for 4 months now. Why are we taking this down to the 4-minute mark? You know, you have 10 minutes here. 10 minutes here, but you've had 4 months. The dude's got 1,021 text messages that he hasn't read yet. Did we not notice that?
Kevin Donlin.
Bryce Harper's a great player. He's very, very talented. Aside from last year, but I blame myself. I'm pretty sure I'm the reason for that with fantasy baseball.
That's disgusting.
Wow.
I can't believe that's real. I mean, again, I'm not. I shouldn't hate. I'm not going to be the kind of person that hates.
No,
He is doing enough hating for the both of us.
As a Cowboys fan, the expectations are so high, and it's just, you're dug into the ground by the end of the season.
You're basically like what the Patriots are, but like you try to do it, but you just don't.
No.
Yeah. At least the Jets, you know what I mean? They have excuses.
This is Running Up the Score, your one-stop spot for all things sports. Now here's your hosts, Jerry Napoleonello and Kevin Donlin.
We had NBA All-Star Weekend this past weekend, and you wanted to sound off on the dunk contest. And I'm going to let you do it.
No, of course, and I understand, how you're approaching. I'm not going to sound like the broken records that I'm hearing within Twitter and all these, ESPN.
It was a good dunk contest. I will say
it was, and they were going back and forth.
But I'll let you finish.
But the point is that we are beyond this. I think this has been the same for about 10 years. We got people dunking over people as like a highlight, and the dunk contest was something special when guys brought out new dunks and just the things they were able to do were unlike anything we had ever seen. And I have to say that for about the past 10 years, watching somebody, a point guard, a very short point guard dunking over, when Robinson dunked over Dwight Howard, these were highlights. And again, I didn't watch it that year. And we're talking like that was a long time ago. And I haven't watched since.
That was like
I did not watch the dunk contest. There's no interest for me. The dunks are the same. There's no one coming out with anything new. And I promise you, if they do come out with something new, I'll see it on ESPN. But I haven't in 10 years.
Yeah, I didn't watch the dunk contest either. I watched highlights of it. It was very good. It brought a lot of drama, as you say.
Absolutely.
Judging
is very, very difficult.
I will say I did watch every part from start to finish of the NBA All-Star Game. And mind you, I don't usually watch it. The last couple of years I have, just because most of the time I was working at Sirius, so I had to watch the game because I had to work the game. I had to do the highlights for it. So I had to watch the game. This time I wanted to watch it because, first of all, I wanted to see this new format. I wanted to see the whole tribute to Kobe, what everybody was doing, wearing the 2 and the 24s and just everything like that. But what I saw on the court that night was just something else that was just awesome to watch. It was, you're watching the best of the best in the NBA go at it, especially for that fourth quarter. Now, if you don't know what the format was, if you haven't heard about it, the first 3 quarters, you start at 0. Whoever wins the quarter, $100,000 goes to that charity of whichever team had it. So LeBron had his charity, Giannis had his charity. So the first quarter went to LeBron's charity, $100,000 there. The second quarter, Giannis's team won. That $100,000 went to Giannis's team. The third quarter, they tied. So now that $100,000 gets thrown into the pot for the fourth quarter. So the fourth quarter was up for $2,000 now, $200,000. But when it comes down to the fourth quarter now, you add up the score, and whatever the winning team or the most points a team had, you add 24 to that, and that was the target score. So Giannis's team had the advantage. What we saw for that fourth quarter was unbelievable. I will say it was unbelievable. They played hard. I mean, you had the kids for each charity sitting behind, the hoops on each end. cheering on. They had, the best seats in the house. And it was just overall, it was unbelievable. And, like a lot of the players said, they thought it was awesome. They thought that Kobe's presence was with them at that point.
Of course.
Just overall, I thought it was great.
Honestly, the one thing I loved more about it than anything was it was very simple, but I loved the fact of naming the All-Star MVP after Kobe Bryant. I think that was an amazing decision by the National Basketball Association.
I will
There's
say,
really no other way to put it.
I'm going to say this right now. Adam Silver, I think, is the best commissioner in sports.
He's done a great job, yeah, absolutely. And that's why the NBA is so popular. I mean, you look at ESPN and you look at LeBron James and you look at all these things. They're covering it like crazy.
Yeah.
The NFL gets covered a lot, obviously, but it's the only sport playing at the time. But when it comes down to it, the NBA has competition with the National Hockey League and even college basketball and portions of baseball. Of course. And there's no doubt about it. They reign supreme.
So now, before we get out of here, how do we fix the Pro Bowl? How do we fix the NHL? I think we fixed the NHL. I think the NHL All-Star Game is actually pretty good with what they do, the tournament style.
I mean, listen, there's no one that's a bigger fan than me, but you're asking the wrong person in this ordeal. Like, I don't watch these All-Star games. I'm a fan of a team, and I'm a fan of a team, and it's hard to try to be, full of sports to this degree, and try to watch these All-Star games. But at the same time, I'm a fan of a team, and I'm rooting for the team. And if they're on a break, I'm just making sure that none of the players on my team get hurt, because it has happened to me with John Tavares.
John Tavares, yeah. So basically, when it comes to the All-Star Game, and I've said this every single time we've talked about it, it's so different nowadays that it's not as appealing to people, because we have the NBA package, we have the NHL package, we have the NFL package, we have the MLB package. You can literally watch whatever team you want to see, whatever player you want to see. If that night you want to watch, you know what, LeBron's playing Kawhi Leonard, but I live in the New York area. Those are two LA teams. I don't have that channel. You get the NBA package, you have that channel now, and now you can watch it from either broadcast, whichever you want to watch, and you can watch those players. You can watch those players on an every night basis. Back in the day when the All-Star Game was huge, a lot of people were not allowed to see, or were not able to see, these top players. If you were in the New York area, it was hard to see.
Well, that's why you'll see every single time that the viewership was definitely higher back in the day. Yeah. And it's on that basis alone. But now we live in a new world. I mean, whether we like to think it or not, we live in a new world where we have access to highlights left and right. People
now it's
just in
boring.
general, of course.
The All-Star Game is boring now.
Because people see these people play every night, all right? They know. We watch ESPN, always has special games on at the same time. And I know what you're saying with the NBA package. But even after a game is over, like I talk about with these fights.
Well, you have it on Twitter.
Of course, and people paying $50 for these fights, but then all of a sudden, 30 seconds after the fight is over, I watched the same fight you just did for $50. It just doesn't make sense to me. So, there are times where you need to have some understanding as to the situation.
But so to me, now it's just because we've seen these players play on a regular basis. You want to see a good game,
of course.
So when it comes down to I literally tuned into the Pro Bowl, when they played this past season. I tuned into the Pro Bowl for no exaggeration, probably about 5 minutes, because that is one game I will not absolutely watch. I tuned in by accident. You know what?
15 years.
15
years. We're talking about
the only
something.
reason why I tuned into the Pro Bowl.
Why?
Was because I was trying to find out if Kobe actually died. That is the exact reason why I tuned into the Pro Bowl. It's sad to say. But when I did tune in, I watched one play. And the ball was handed off. Defensive end broke his block and just hugged Ezekiel Elliott. And that was a tackle.
Yeah, because nobody's trying to get hurt with this stuff, and just nobody's trying to get hurt.
But what can we do to the NFL?
Just give them a break, and then and minimize your profits. I mean, the NBA, the National Football League, you make enough money, and I know there are
NBA
some people
made their change. I think NBA, this is good for forever. This format, because you're going to get a good product on the court to watch. So I think that's going to be they're set.
Yeah,
NHL, I think, is set.
I'm honestly just done talking about these All-Star games, because it's just the truth. I mean, I'm an average fan, and I know there are some fans out there that enjoy watching it and will go to these events. I've never even thought about going to an All-Star event, no matter what sport it was.
I went to the Fan Fest for baseball one year.
I have zero interest in the game, in any of the games. Like, of all 4 major sports, I don't care. It's just not relevant to me. The game means nothing. And the only thing I'm praying to God is that I look at ESPN later on that night and make sure that none of the players that are on my team got hurt, because the one team I care about is my team. Like, I don't care about the Eastern Conference, All-Star. I don't care about that. It's
with baseball, I don't think you could change it any way to make it more interesting, because you can't not play hard, I guess you could say, in baseball. Like, there's nothing like, unless you're going to lob a pitch over. Like, that's really the only way that you can, take your time or just kind of ease up. Like, football, it's a contact sport, so you can ease up on a tackle, or you can, just hug the guy and, consider a tackle. Basketball, just don't play defense, and that's, usually what you see in an NBA All-Star game. Same thing with hockey. Hockey, it's like, all right, don't play defense. You can't check anyway, so why, So I think what NHL did to their playoff system works. NBA definitely works with their playoffs. All-Star system.
Yeah, it's definitely not playoffs. It's All-Star, and it's irrelevant.
Yeah, and NFL. I don't think there's really anything that they can do to make it more interesting. And
I don't have those ideas. There are plenty of people out there that get paid to have those ideas, and there's just nothing that comes to mind, because as a fan, there's really nothing you can do to these games that are going to make them more interesting for me. Even you talking about the NBA format, and how they did it, you lost me. Like, you kind of lost. Cool, I know, but you lost me on it. And I love the whole idea of, charities, and that's amazing.
Honoring Kobe.
Of course, honoring Kobe, but, like, when it comes to, like, doing these, like, certain things and who has the advantage, I'm just beyond it. And honestly, I'm ready to watch the Boston Celtics when they play their next game off the All-Star break, and pray to God that Jason Tatum didn't get hurt during this, what I'd like to call nonsense.
Well, our teams are going at it on Sunday.
Well, good luck. You're gonna need it. My team's ready to go, baby. They're always ready. The Celtics. That's always a fun game. That's the game I'm going to tune into. I'm not going to tune into this All-Star.
For more Running Up the Score, go follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at RUTS Sports.